Good morning children, I am Dr. Hema Harris. Today we shall see the right ventricle. We were dealing with the right atrium earlier, that is the chambers of the heart. We shall continue today with the right ventricle. So here, this is the right atrium, this is the right ventricle. Right ventricle is separated from the right atrium by the atrioventricular groove, and the right ventricle is separated from the left ventricle by the interventricular groove. This is the pulmonary trunk which is coming out of the right ventricle, and this is the ascending aorta. Now we can see that the right ventricle is triangular in shape, right? It is triangular in shape. It occupies 2/3 of the sternocostal surface, most of the inferior border, and about 1/3 of the base. 1/3 of the diaphragmatic surface, 2/3 of the sternocostal surface, most of the inferior border, and 1/3 of the diaphragmatic surface. This is another specimen of the heart where we have opened the right ventricle. Okay, when we open the right ventricle, we can see that this is the interventricular septum. This is the interventricular septum because here we can see the left ventricle. So between the left ventricle and the right ventricle there is a septum, that is the interventricular septum. So this is the interventricular septum. So when we open the right ventricle, the right ventricle assumes a semilunar shape. Why is it so? This is because the interventricular septum bulges into the right ventricle, giving it a semilunar appearance. Now coming to the thickness of the musculature of the right ventricle. You can see that this is the thickness of the right ventricle. Okay, and here can you see how thick the left ventricle looks? This is the thickness of the left ventricle. Okay, so the musculature of the left ventricle is about 3 times the thickness of the right ventricle. So the right ventricular wall is relatively thinner in the ratio of thickness of 1:3. Thickness of the right ventricular musculature to the thickness of the left ventricular musculature is 1:3. This is the interior of the right ventricle. Okay, this is the right ventricle which I have opened, and we are seeing the interior. Okay, here we can see that this part is rough. So it has a inflow tract or an inflowing part which is rough, and an outflowing part which is smooth. This is a smooth outflowing part and a rough inflowing part. So this is the inflowing part because this is the right atrium. We had seen the right atrium, and here you can see there is an orifice through which blood goes from the right atrium into the right ventricle. So this is the inflowing part. The inflowing part is rough and the outflowing part is smooth. Inflowing part is called the ventricle proper, and the outflowing part is called the conus arteriosus or the infundibulum. The rough inflowing part or the rough inflow tract is derived from the primitive ventricle, whereas the smooth outflowing part is derived from bulbus cordus. So developmentally it is different. The inflowing part derived from the primitive ventricle, and the outflowing part is derived from the bulbus cordus. Similarly, in case of right atrium also, there is a difference in the development. We had said that right atrium also was derived from 2 parts. The smooth posterior part derived from the absorbed right horn of sinus venosus, and the atrium proper or the rough part was derived from the right half of primitive atrium. Similarly, regarding the development of fossa ovalis and limbus fossa ovalis, this is the fossa ovalis which is developed from the from the septum primum, and the limbus fossa ovalis, which is a sickle shaped margin, it is developed from the septum secundum. Now coming back to the RV or the right ventricle, inflow tract receives blood from the right atrium, whereas the outflow tract ejects blood from the apex of the right ventricle into the pulmonary trunk. Okay. Now there is a crest here called the supraventricular crest. This is a crest which separates the inflow tract and the outflow tract. There is a crest here called the supraventricular crest. This crest separates the inflow tract and the outflow tract. Now let us talk about the inflow tract. The rough inflow tract has two main parts. One is the right atrioventricular orifice and the tricuspid valve complex, and the second is the trabeculae carneae. First we shall see the right atrioventricular orifice and the tricuspid valve complex. So look here, this is the right atrium we have opened, this is the right ventricle, and this is the orifice. Okay, you can see this is the orifice. So this is the right atrioventricular orifice through which blood enters the right ventricle from the right atrium. Next, the tricuspid valve complex. It is a complex, so it consists of four components. First, the tricuspid annulus, then the tricuspid leaflets or the cusps, third, chordae tendineae, four, papillary muscles. There are four structures which makes the tricuspid valve complex. Let us see each one of this. First of all, tricuspid annulus. Tricuspid annulus is the subendocardial thickening. See this? It is a subendocardial thickening to which the leaflets or the cusps are attached. So this is the cusp or the leaflet. These leaflets are attached to an annulus or a thickening that is called the tricuspid annulus. Then we have three cusps or leaflets: anterior, posterior and septal. What we see here is the anterior cusp. Then what we see behind is the posterior cusp. I shall show it to you in a different view. If you see here, this is the anterior cusp, this is the posterior cusp, and here is the septal cusp. Anterior, posterior and the septal cusp. Usually anterior cusp is the largest and septal cusp is the smallest. And how are they positioned? Anterior cusp is positioned such that it faces the sternocostal surface like this. It faces the sternocostal surface. Posterior cusp is positioned such a way that it faces the inferior surface, that is the diaphragmatic surface. And the septal cusps are attached such that they face the interventricular septum. In between the cusps, that is, if I show you from here, you can see in between these cusps, that is the anterior cusp, the posterior cusp and the septal cusp, there are deep indentations. See, there are deep depressions called commissures. So these indentations between the leaflets are called commissures. So we finished the tricuspid annulus and the leaflets. Now we shall see the papillary muscles. Papillary muscles are small conical projections having a base and an apex. The base is attached to the ventricular wall and the apex is attached to the chordae tendineae. So this is one of the papillary muscles. They are conical projections. Their base is attached to the ventricular wall. See, this is the ventricular wall and their apex has all these tendinous structures called chordae tendineae attached. So there are three papillary muscles. This is the anterior papillary muscle. Then behind, here you can see it's a bit difficult to see. This is the posterior papillary muscle. This is the anterior papillary muscle. This is the posterior papillary muscle. There is one more muscle, papillary muscle called septal papillary muscle. I shall show you in another specimen. Here in this specimen, this is another specimen of where the right ventricle is opened. This is the anterior papillary muscle. Here is the posterior papillary muscle. And here this is the septal papillary muscle. We call it the septal papillary muscle because you can see that the chordae tendineae, you can see the chordae tendineae. This is a chordae tendineae which is attaching to the septal cusp. When you look from here, you can see that the septal cusp here is attaching to that papillary muscle. So you have three papillary muscles, anterior, posterior and a septal papillary muscle. So we have covered the right atrioventricular orifice and the tricuspid valve complex, of which three of them have been covered: tricuspid annulus, the cusp or the leaflets and the papillary muscles. And now we have the chordae tendineae. These structures, these tendinous structures are called the chordae tendineae. They attach the apex of the papillary muscle to the cusps. So these papillary muscles and the chordae tendineae, what do? They regulate the proper closure of the cusp of these tricuspid valves during systole. The proper closure of the the proper closure of the tricuspid valve complex is done along with the help of the papillary muscle and the chordae tendineae. Next we shall see what are the trabeculae carneae. We said the inflowing part is rough. The rough nature of the inflowing part is due to the trabeculae carneae, and the trabeculae carneae consists of bridges, ridges and papillary muscles. Now what are these bridges, ridges and papillary muscles? Papillary muscles we have already seen. What are ridges? Ridges are linear elevations. Linear elevations you see in the ventricle are the ridges, of which the most prominent is the one we mentioned earlier, is the supraventricular crest. The supraventricular crest which runs up here, and it forms a demarcation, or it intervenes between the smooth outflow tract and the rough inflow tract. Those are the ridges. Then coming to bridges. Bridges are these kind of muscular tissues which connect the ventricular walls, but they are free in the middle. So they have connections of the muscle walls, but they are free in the middle. In humans, the most prominent bridge is called the supramarginal trabeculae. So supramarginal trabeculae is also called the moderator band. This is a supramarginal trabeculae which has been cut off. I shall show you in another specimen. So this is another specimen of the heart where we are going to see it is a septomarginal trabeculae. Sorry, earlier I had said it is supramarginal. It is not supramarginal, it is septomarginal trabeculae. This is the septomarginal trabeculae. It is a very modified bridge which is seen in the human beings. It is also called the moderator band. It arises from the ventricular, arises from the right side of the ventricular septum. Right side of the ventricular septum, and runs towards the base of the anterior papillary muscle. Okay, so this is a moderator band. Importance of the moderator band is that it conveys the right branch of the AV bundle. That is an important conducting tissue of the heart. So the right branch of the AV bundle runs to the moderator band, and also the moderator band prevents the over distension of the right ventricle. So this is the moderator band which has been cut here, coming from the ventricular, from the interventricular septum to the base of the anterior papillary muscle. Okay. Now let us come to the outflow tract. So this is the outflow tract from where the blood is flowing out of the right ventricle. So here we can see it is a smooth area called conus arteriosus or the infundibulum. The conus arteriosus or infundibulum is a truncated cone, it is conical in shape. And when you go that side, the apex of the cone shows an orifice. Okay, can you see an orifice? That is the orifice called the pulmonary orifice. This is the, so this here, what is the orifice you are seeing here is the pulmonary orifice. So I am bringing the forceps out through the pulmonary orifice. This is the orifice. Okay, this pulmonary orifice is guarded by a pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve has three cusps. This is a pulmonary valve with three cusps. You can see the three cusps of the pulmonary valve. So that is the outflow tract. The roughness of the trabeculae carneae slows the inflow of blood during diastole, whereas the smooth walled conus arteriosus increases the velocity during ejection phase of systole. So now we have dealt with the interior of the right ventricle also. Thank you.